Welcome to On the Edge with Deneen Dias. Today, my guest, which I've been looking forward to talking with you, Dave, is Dave Bergstein, who probably needs no introduction because I feel like everybody knows you. But Dave, if you could please go ahead and introduce yourself.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you having me here today. My name is Dave Bergstein. I like to describe myself as a millennial in a baby boomer's body, which means I'm getting old. I've been around a long time. I'm a CPA, CITP, CGMA, whatever all those things mean. I've done everything there is to do in accounting. I'm a sole practitioner. I've worked for the IRS. I'm an educator. I'm a blogger. I'm an author. And my present state of mind is helping other people achieve success in what they're doing in the accounting practice that they start. Because I think accounting has a vibrant future. It's changing, but everybody could be whatever they want to be in accounting. That's really what it comes down to.
Well, I've been looking forward to this discussion because I have seen you speak throughout the years, and I've learned a lot from you about technology throughout the years. But what I did not know is that you are an amazing pickleball player. So I learned that last week at the Accounting Web conference, and I have a picture to prove it. Della, can you put up the So here we are last week. Botkeeper had a booth at the Accounting Web Summit, and Dave was our influencer in the booth teaching everybody pickleball. This is my first time playing, and I have to say I'm so impressed. You barely moved, and I was sweating up a storm. So
that's the way to do it, not to move and be able to move the racket around. Actually, I really can't move that much right now. I tore my Achilles tendon playing pickleball in January.
Oh no.
And was told not to play pickleball till after June, but your nice small court allows me to stand there and manipulate it. And I guess you're going to have that court at Scaling New Heights and Engage.
Scaling New Heights, maybe Scaling New Heights, yeah.
Okay, well, so if it's there, I'm willing to play again if anybody wants to challenge me.
You're good. I was impressed. And I think the whole point is, it's okay to have some fun along the way, right? And a lot of times I think accountants get this thought, or people think that they're not fun, because they're numbers people, but it is really fun. And this profession is changing, and technology is a big enabler and innovation of the change. So what I would like for you to share today is some of that. Like, what are you seeing today? And somebody who's been, helping firms evolve and thrive and embrace technology. Now that we're all out and about again at conferences, what are you seeing? What are the key things you are seeing right now?
Well, the key things I'm seeing right now are the same things I saw 20 years ago, 30 years ago, but I know young accountants would say, hey, we're all new. We know what we're doing, and you old guys got to move out of the way. You old guys and ladies, gentlemen and ladies, got to move out of the way. Not true. We've been trying to do the same thing that you're doing now, except we couldn't do it back in 1980 and 1990 because the technology wasn't there. So one thing about accounting is you always got to be on the edge. It's all about continuous learning and changing. The nature of accounting to me is vibrant. I teach college accounting class right now. I was in there yesterday, and I was showing them a couple of dashboards. I was talking about Intact, SAP, QuickBooks, Xero, and say, this is what you want to really be doing in the future. It's not sitting in this classroom learning journal entries from journal to ledger to trial balance financial. That's automation and AI. And actually, I had my Botkeeper hat for the class the other day and talked about automation because that's what we're all striving for. And every time you go to a conference now, it's all about what you want to be as an accountant, bookkeeper, CPA. You want to be an advisor to your client.
That's right.
And the only way you can be an advisor to your client is if you let the lower level information be automated and accumulated and put into those financial statements or dashboards through tools such as Botkeeper and others that are out there. AI is starting to take off. It's not there yet. There are a few companies with AI, others with heavy automation. So if you're at an accounting firm now and you're doing audits or you're doing taxes, Taxes you've been doing automated for a long time. Audits are being automated now. But the true value of why someone comes to an accountant is not for the compliance work, even though they need the compliance work. They come to them to help me grow my business. And how can a CPA help them grow their business? By looking at the numbers, not from the past, but from the present to
Right.
make future predictions. And
Right.
that's the true nature. I know you're going to probably have a guest on Jeannie Whitehouse in the future. We talked about her.
We did
But
last week. Yeah.
CPA.com, AICPA, Jeannie Whitehouse, they're all talking about advisory services.
Yeah.
And I've taken the course when it was given by Edie Osborne, which is where
Okay.
Jeannie Whitehouse is taken
Yeah.
over. It's the best course I've ever taken on consulting because it's not just about the financial numbers, it's about non-financial, but it's
That's
also
right.
how do you do consulting? Because
Right.
that's the key. Every accountant has the potential to do a consulting where numbers.
Totally. This is the thing. This is what I've been saying is firms have so much data coming at them. It's all about the data, right? How you analyze and advise on the data. They have so much data coming at them, but they've been so used to just like reporting on the data. They don't know, or their team and talent, and to your point, technology is allowing them to have the data faster and to have it be more automated. And that's what Botkeeper does, right? Push that time consuming manual stuff down to the technology like Botkeeper to free up your talent to be able to use the data. That's where the power is, how you advise and consult on the data. But firms are struggling moving into advisory. They are really struggling. Their talent isn't comfortable. Their talent feels like technology is replacing them. I say it's just changing your job. It's not replacing you. It's changing your job into something you are going to love because the clients want this type of help and they're coming to their firms to this type of help, but firms aren't building it fast enough. So why do you think, and I love, finding resources like Jeannie Winehouse that has the tools to help firms create this person within the firm. But, before we get to that, what are you seeing? Like, why is it so hard for firms to move into advisory? Because to you and me, it seems like it'd be easy, but it's not. And what's the struggle?
Part of the reason it's difficult to do is the larger the firm, the more difficult it is to change the
Mhm.
operation of that ship. If you're a solo practitioner or a small firm, you're more like on a speedboat. You can adapt and change technology and apply it throughout a small organization a lot quicker than you
Mhm.
can for a large organization. But large firms have been doing advisory for a long time.
They're doing it. They're either not charging for it or so I feel like they are doing it. But so speak to that because I feel if I agreeing with you.
About time you agree with me. No, you always agree with me. But you have to look at the tools that are out there now. We have the tools, and that's why we can do it. Again,
Right.
it used to take a lot of time to do write-up work, to do bank reconciliations, to put financial statements together, to do tax returns. But today, if you automate with the bank feeds in a QBO, a Zero, or any other tool out there, the data is coming in, and then you have all these other tools that categorize the information and portals. So the information is coming in a lot quicker. What we need to do for accounting firms is make sure they're focused
Yeah.
on separating a
Yeah.
tax person, an audit person, and an advisory person. Advisory persons typically work around client accounting advisory
Mhm.
services, but in some cases they don't because it could be uh, cryptocurrency, it could be
Mhm.
blockchain, it could be security. Uh, but everything revolves around the accounting information that comes in there. So people need to be focused and trained on doing it. There's like Plan Guru, Fathom,
Yeah.
Cavinci tools out
Yeah.
there, Palo Alto software. They all give me these dashboards. So it's not that I'm a genius. The information's
Right.
coming in, and I'll see red, green, yellow. I'll see a scorecard
Right.
what to talk to my client about. But this is
Right.
where the big bucks in accounting are coming. That's why private equity is coming into the accounting firms and splitting off audit, which is constant revenue, and saying, hey, uh, the other half of the firm, you're now a professional service firm. Let's grow the revenue. And the way to grow the revenue is using all that data that you've collected
That's right.
and selling it back to the client. What I mean by selling it back to the client is selling it back to the client in forms of helping them be more liquid, solvent, and profitable, whether they want wealth management, succession plan, take
Right.
that dinner and show them how they can achieve their goals.
Sell them more services. And I've been saying this too. I mean, there's a supply and demand issue happening. Clients are coming to the firm asking for help. They want to outsource. They want help. Help me with my bill pay. Help me with my payroll. Help me with my sales and use tax. Help me like with the vision for my business, right? Help me, help me, help me. So there's a demand that's happening. And when I ask firms, are you doing this work? Are you saying yes? Firms are not. They're turning the business away because they're drowning in the work, or they don't have the right talent, or they're not focused because they're so busy doing what they've always done. And audit and tax has made them quite profitable. And they're still profitable because there's so much business to be had. But having that focus to recognize where's the best revenue, because before technology, right, the accounting work was manual and time consuming. Now that you can automate it and standardize it and have that data real time, it is actually the fastest growing revenue source for firms that are focusing on it. So what to your point is, it's profitable. It's highly profitable. It's actually monthly, predictable, reoccurring, profitable revenue now that they can then upsell more services. And that's what you're talking about. So do you think that firms are struggling making this shift because their traditional model has worked so well that they can't shift fast enough? Because I worry competition is coming. And I worry this is for firms to lose. Clients are coming to them right now for this help. They need to figure out how to say yes. Yes to the demand so they can then sell more advisory services, sell more cryptocurrency, sell more services, right? Wealth advisory, HR. There's something now called people advisory, right? And helping advise your clients on their people. There's so much services that firms can offer. I think it's the firm structure. What do you think that is delaying it?
That's a big part of it. I agree with you there. In firm structure, firms are used to doing things a certain way, but that comes back to listening to Barry Melanson, the head of the AICPA. Change. It's
Yeah.
hard for firms to change. They've been doing,
Yeah.
they talk about culture. They got to come back to the office, but in reality, the new culture is remote workers, hybrid workers, and the culture's there. It's just a different kind of culture. You're not losing culture when you work remotely. And this is what's happening. We were just together at a conference last week, and
Yep.
you saw older people and younger people who
Yep.
are willing to adapt to the change and realize the model of a CPA firm, the model of an accounting firm, and the model of a bookkeeping firm has to change. You have to say, I'm an entrepreneur as a CPA. How can I grow my business and do things differently? And way to
Right.
do things differently is to say, well, client accounting services seems to be the fastest growing according to all the statistics. Tax is never going to go away.
Never go
If you
away.
want to do audit, you do audit, but client accounting services is the way to grow. And there's millions of small businesses out there and large businesses out there. And these businesses need financial or accounting help, but the person doesn't have to be in-house. So smart
That's right.
accountants are saying, I'm now going to be a quarterback. I'm going to utilize India, the
Yeah.
Philippines, or wherever the case may be, and I'm going to use automation and human intervention, and I'm going to
Right.
create a model that says all the work is going to be structured so I can do whatever I can through automation and
Yes.
artificial intelligence. And my people are going to do the higher level work,
That's right.
reviewing and meeting with clients weekly, quarterly, monthly, semi-annually, depending on the nature of it. Is it
Yep.
cash flow analysis? Is it budget analysis? Is it sales planning? Is it wealth
Right.
management? People, accountants have to realize it's change, and they have to
Yes.
assign someone focused full time
Someone
on
that's
this
focused
business.
full time, and I'd say that has like power or influence, because they're going to have to internally fight that change, right, with the other partners. And so it can't be somebody that's a tax partner that's building cash on the side, right? Because then they get pulled into tax. And CAS is so profitable because, again, it's monthly, recurring, predictable revenue. And most of the CAS practitioners that I know are paying themselves first. So they're auto paying themselves the first of their month a set value-based fee. So that is nice, predictable incoming revenue. And you can't have your leader, if it's a tax leader, 3 months or 4 months out of the year, step out of that. Because then your monthly recurring revenue hurts. And so that structure, I agree with you. They have to have a CAS lead. I completely agree with you that this is their only job, and that they are partner level, and that they're strong. They have to be strong to kind of fight that resistance to change.
And
Yeah,
they have to institute, you mentioned value pricing, value billing, subscription pricing. That's what's really happening in professional services. Your client is now signed up for a subscription of services. You always got to watch your engagement letter and scope creep. This is what you say you're doing with a client, but you can really build up the services. And tax returns are now not being sold as we'll do your tax return. The tax return is the deliverable. It's
that's right.
the financial advisory and tax advisory services that we're going to start to see advertised by all the tax companies. You're seeing that from Intuit, Lacerte, CCH, and Thompson saying, hey, you got to start doing not planning, proactive advisory services to bring your clients in. And again, that's tying in with client accounting services, but they're trying to tie it directly into a tax return. But no business tax return gets done before the books are done, which
That's right.
means you can't do a tax return until the accounting is done.
But for firms, it's a real shift in the thinking, right? It's a big shift in the thinking. I talked to a CAS lead who told me that their tax partner came to her and said, oh my gosh, I just landed this really great tax client, really great new tax client I'm bringing in, and their books are a mess. And so I need you to clean up the books. And I told them you do it for free. And she was like, no, I won't. No, you've got to say no. No, I won't. That's not what I do. I don't clean up books. That's not what I do. And I'm not going to pull out my people that are working on this monthly recurring revenue to go clean up the books for you. So she said, guess what I'll do? I'll take them over as a CAS client. I'll clean them up and give them monthly predictable numbers. And then you can do the tax return for free because the books are going to be clean. And the tax partner didn't like that. But that's a shift in the thinking. And it's really hard, I think, for tax partners to shift in this way. It's just really hard to change your model.
Everybody comes with a lot of baggage, except
Yeah.
me, because and when I say me, it's mindset. And there's lots of
Yeah.
people like me out there with mindset. You got to
Yeah.
make the leap. You got to change what you do, and you'll grow your business. And again, right now, because of the pandemic and the PPP loans
Right.
and the DIL, everybody got into this advisory consulting kick, and the revenue is coming in, and there's no time left for everything. But like every good thing, it'll come to an end unless you plan for the future. And planning
That's
for
right.
the future means changing your accounting firm now. And again, I think there was another announcement last week of another private equity coming in, and every week we're seeing larger CPA firms
All the
merge.
time. Yeah.
But they're also merging in, changing what the people do. It's giving them the opportunity to now pursue these new endeavors. The
Yeah.
larger
So
will grow larger.
I want to ask you this, because I call it like becoming a firm of the future, or Darren Root is coming out with the modern firm, right? Is making the shift and knowing that you want to change into a firm of the future. And I also feel that firms have struggle getting top talent out of college, because the top talent, the technical talent, right? The data analytical folks that are coming out of college, they don't want to go to a traditional firm. And so knowing that you're a professor and that you're training these young minds who love technology and love the data, what are you hearing from them? Like, how can firms attract them?
Well, an interesting case. In my present class, I have a veteran who's got years experience because they were in the service for X number of years. I got international students and I got local students. They're all looking at accounting as I'm talking to them as a stepping stone to grow. They're majoring or minoring in accounting, but taking data analytics,
Mm-hmm.
computer courses, and that's the accountant of the future. It's
Yes.
nobody coming out of school and says, very few, I want to be an auditor and I
Right.
want to take all these audit lists. They want a general knowledge of accounting so they can
Okay.
understand the flow of data. But then they're looking at the economic picture, the analytical skills, because we're covering ratios and how to analyze things. They're saying, this is what I want to do. I don't want to
Exciting.
do ticking and tying. I don't
Right.
want to even prepare financial statements. I want
No.
automation to do that. And in
Yes.
4 or 5 years, when and we don't really see it just yet. Think about the internet when it first came out. People didn't understand it. Blockchain is at that point
Yes.
there with a public ledger, which
Yes.
will mean less to be audited because everything can be verified. And
Yep.
once you know that the system's in place, then very little to do with accounting and more to do with sitting down and listening to your client say what they want. That's the biggest problem with advisory services for accountants. They'll come in and say they want to do advisory services and tell the client what they have, but they really should keep their mouth shut. And they say to the client, what are you trying to accomplish? And let
Right.
the client let it all out before they come back with how they can help them.
A solution. Yeah. Well, and so something else, there's a couple of things that you said that I wanted to circle back to. One, this offices are opening and we're requiring our staff to come back into the office. And then I'm seeing firms do that. I feel like they didn't learn over the last 2 years. They can't wait to get back to the office and they want all their talent back in the office. And it's hard for them to manage. It's harder for them to manage a remote team, but the team wants to be managed remote. And like at Botkeeper, we're a virtual office. I haven't met 90% of my team, but I still feel like I'm part of a team. I still feel like I know these people, right? I still have made friends through work, even if I haven't met them in person. And so I think if you're going to get this top talent coming out of college, right, they don't want to go to a firm where they have to go into the office. And so, you're going to lose people if you make them come back to the office, and you're not going to be able to hire top talent if you force people to come back into the office. And so, do you feel like firms haven't learned, and what do you think the repercussions this year are going to be for that?
An interesting question. Some firms have learned, but
Okay.
some firms haven't. And again, you have to look at the demographics. Let's take New York City, for instance. Firms have invested lots of money in real estate. They can't get rid of it that quickly, so they have to find some use for it. And that's why they may still be embracing managers. Middle managers are embracing come back to the office because they can't manage anyone if they don't see them is the old way to do it. But that's all changing, and I think talent out of college and businesses will continue to thrive and adapt. If you're in the middle of the country, let's say you're in the outskirts of, let's say, Milwaukee, and you're not going down to the city, and you have a building outside of the city, some people want to go back because it's not commuting. If you're in New York, Chicago, LA, Boston, and you got to commute an hour back and forth and get on a subway and get in an elevator,
Yeah.
people don't want to do that anymore.
Right.
Actually, the colleges are starting to find out. I was talking to the division head, and students are enrolling more for what I'll call mixed mode classes now, where they come in once in a while, but they're more online, not total online. And if you look at the advertisements for colleges are advertising get your degree online. So if you're going to a commuter college, it's more likely than not you don't want to go to the classroom. If you're going away, let's say to Cornell, Syracuse, I know the New York schools, U of F or Florida State, you'd be on campus. But when you're going to the commuter colleges and you're commuting, you're more likely to say, I don't need to go to class anymore. So that's changing the mindset.
I think about this a lot, Dave, because my daughter's 9. So she's going to be going to college in 10 years. And I think the college that she's going to go to in 10 years is going to be very different than what we think of college. And the cool thing about virtual learning is she can learn from the best and the brightest all over the world. So she might go to Harvard, right? But she could have a Harvard professor in India talking about economics because they're the brightest, smartest professor on economics. So instead of having to go to campus and learn from one person now, you can learn from the best and brightest virtually in this virtual college. So I think college is going to look very different, which is why I feel like the educational system is starting to adapt to technology, and COVID obviously sped that up. Firms need to adapt to the technology, not only for their customers, but to bring in this top talent to the firm to set them loose on their customers. And so I think it's an exciting time. I think, you know, I love innovation. I love change, but not you do too. That's why we're like this. We're aligned.
That's why I'm not retiring yet, because it's constant change. And yeah, I agree 100% with you. You know, think back. You know, again, think back in 2007, we didn't really have the iPhone. I don't think. Think
Right.
about it. Everyone who's young, they're born that way. You know,
Yep.
everyone that's young today is my grandson's in virtual reality. That's college in a couple of years. You put the glasses on, you'll be communicating, and that's a culture. And
Yeah.
it's a strong culture. You don't have to be physically in the same place. Right now, we're looking at each other, and we're
Right.
developing culture that way.
Right.
So I agree. People have to adapt change, but being on the edge, and that's the name of the program here. You know, anyone that's listening, you know, and I do a lot of these, you can listen, but it's up to you to make the change yourself. There's opportunity out there to start your own accounting practice. You know, we're competing with the Bezos of the world, with Pilot and other companies. So there's lots of work out there if you want to do the accounting work. And do the accounting work as a solo practitioner, quarterback, and using outsourcing services and other people who are expertise if you need credits, etc. The opportunity is there at this point in time. Just take advantage of it. And even in your own firm, change. You know, be a voice of change.
So, and you're right. Like there's a supply and demand issue, right? There's more demand than there is supply. So there are competitors entering the space that will meet the demand, and those competitors are venture-backed technology bookkeeping companies. That's why Jeff Bezos invested in Pilot. They know that there's a need here. There's a demand need. They're going to come in and fill. And you and I look at this. I feel like every week there's a new one. Docket, Bench, Zenny, coming into the space to meet this demand. Top 4 firms are coming down to meet the demand, right? KPMG Spark and PwC Insights, they're coming down to meet the demand. And I truly believe this is for firms. Right now is the time to change. It is theirs for the taking. If they don't do it though, someone else will take their customer and offer them these services. And so we have 2 minutes left. With those 2 minutes, I think I know what you're going to say. But what do you see as the number one thing firms can do from this takeaway? What can they do? What's an actionable thing that they can do to make change?
Well, the number one thing is take action. And the way to take action is to look within their firm and write down, which is what they don't do, write down the business plan of the future, that this is what they're going to do to change their business. And then take action. Go to a conference or just look online at the tools that are out there to see how you can automate what you're doing. There's plenty of webinars, seminars showing you various tools out there. Start to take advantage of those tools to change what you do, but also change your pricing. You're going to find talent, but the talent may not be in your backyard. It may be, I'm in Florida, it could be in San Diego, it could be in India. The price of an Indian accountant, a chartered accountant in India, is no longer.
It's not.
They've
no longer. They're catching up
themselves over the years, the knowledge.
They're in demand too.
So, hey, you can outsource to India, and you're going to get great quality there, or outsource to Chicago or whatever. But there's talent out there everywhere now, and that's what's going to help you as a business.
I love it. So the number one thing I heard you say, I completely agree, is you've got to write down a plan. It's a business plan, but the business plan is how to become a firm of the future. And what do we make those decisions now and start acting on it? What am I going to do now to be who I want to be in a year, in 2 years, right? What can I do in 3 months? What can I do in 6 months? What can I do in 9 months? So Dave, thank you so much. If everybody wants to reach out and connect with you, how can they contact you?
They can look at me at LinkedIn, David Bergstein, or just send me an email, David Bergstein CPA at Gmail. I'll be glad to help them. My goal is to help other people as I work my way to retirement.
I love that about you. And you have a lot to share. You are, what do you say you are? You're a millennial in a
In the baby boomer's body
in a baby boomer's body. It's so true. It's so
and
true.
ready to play pickleball.
I will be playing you soon. I'll see you at Engage and at Scaling New Heights. Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.